We'll now be moving on to a live speaking video for university life, as well as just generally studying and learning too. So we're going to go through 5 different phrases that you can learn for university and studies, and I'm sure you'll find them really useful. So up first we have sit an exam or sit a test. Now, in the UK, we usually prefer to say a test, although we do often use exam. And I believe in America, more so, they tend to say exam. So, sit an exam, sit a test. We have the phrase an eye-opener. Learning or learnt, learn by heart. And here we have cramming. And finally, we have get your head around it. So just some really useful expressions that it would be awesome if you could understand and use, but specifically they're around the idea of studying and university life. So let's jump right into the live speaking video. So the first phrase that we're going to be looking at today is sit an exam or test. Both exam and test mean the same thing. So sit, sat, I'm sitting, if we were talking present tense, an exam. Tomorrow I'll be sitting a test. Or if we were using the past tense, I sat a test yesterday. It was very difficult. So it's a phrase that we use to say that we have taken a test, that we have completed or will be completing an exam. An eye-opener, it's a really commonly used phrase amongst native speakers, and it's somewhat of an idiomatic expression. If we say that an experience, it was an eye-opener, if we imagine that your eyes widen like this, then it means that it was something quite surprising that you learnt. It was something that was maybe even quite shocking. When I went to the supermarket, the sale was a real eye-opener. There was so much that I could see was on sale, or the sale was so big. The class that I took yesterday was a real eye-opener. I learnt so much. So we can also use it in terms of saying that we learnt a lot about something. The documentary on ancient Egypt was a real eye-opener. I learnt so much about the history of ancient Egypt. And you can also use real eye-opener. That's a very colloquial and commonly matched phrase. A real eye-opener. Our next phrase is learn by heart. And of course, the verb learn we can change into learnt, probably just the past tense, learnt by heart. And it means that we do something, it's obviously an idiomatic expression. It means that we repeat the learning process so much that this action or this piece of understanding is now 120% committed to memory. It's something that is so natural to us. I spent ages learning counting in Japanese. I learnt it by heart. That song was difficult, but I learnt it by heart, and now I can play it super easily. So a really good phrase to say that something is now natural and you've spent a lot of time learning it. I've learnt it by heart. Our next phrase is cramming, or to cram if we were to use the infinitive. And it's a verb that basically means to study in a very short period of time, but with real intensity. Doing something with 100% effort, cramming. I've got 3 days until the test. I need to cram all of the knowledge I can. I've been cramming for the last 3 days in the build up to the test. People tend to cram study, especially when there's short time constraints, and also maybe when they are a little bit worried or are feeling the pressure of an upcoming test. I don't recommend cram studying. I don't think it's the best way to learn, but people, of course, do it. Cramming. Okay, the final expression and an idiomatic expression I'd like to teach you is to get your head around it. Or you can use it in the first person as well, get my head around it. And it's often used to describe a piece of learning that was quite difficult. At first you didn't quite understand it, but now you can understand it. It was difficult at first, but after practice, I can just about get my head around it. I can understand it now. Or you could say that it's something that you do not understand. I really can't get my head around it. I don't understand. I find it difficult. With help, I'm sure you can get your head around it. So with support, I'm sure I can teach you this phrase. Get your head around it. Get my head around it. Okay, so that is the 5 expressions for university, study, and just generally learning too. So I would definitely have a go at practicing with those phrases, some really useful colloquial language there. And I hope you've enjoyed the lesson, and I'll see you soon.